The government and Deputy Lahar try to muddy the waters, try and deflect in order to absolve themselves of responsibility for giving a direct answer to the questions that this motion asks of them, and to cover the fact that they have deleted our entire motion and replaced it with vague promises of reviews and no tangible commitments, and essentially a recapitulation of existing legislation, which implies there really isn't a problem at all. Okay, there's a big problem, and our motion doesn't ask for a socialist republic, Deputy Lahart. It asks for the government to implement the Duffy-Cahill report into legislation in order that what is being done to the Debenhams workers can never be done again. You can't commit to it. You won't commit to it. So if we're sceptical, it's because it was 5 years since that report, 5 years since Cleary's, and before that, as I said, this has gone on for years under previous Fianna Fáil governments, Vita Cortex, La Senza, Thomas Cook, it goes on, and no action is taken. You can hardly blame us for being sceptical. We ask that something we learned from the liquidators, not dreamt up in some left-wing sort of textbook, but the liquidators themselves said that the government, as priority creditors, could instruct them to dispose of the assets in favour of the workers. And you still haven't responded to that simple point. Give the instruction. Give the commitment then that you will go to Bank of Ireland. Bank of Ireland are directly involved in triggering the process for their own interests and for the profits of their shareholders that has led to the cynical dumping of 1,400 workers. Are you going to go in and tell Bank of Ireland this is not acceptable and to insist that proper redundancy is paid to the workers by the consortium of which they are a part, and indeed they almost certainly were involved in engineering the dumping of debt onto the Irish company in order to take the assets off the books. And finally, I'll just say to this. To the Debenhams workers, do not listen to Deputy Hart when he downplays protest. I was talking to the shop stewards just now, and they said they are hopeful. They're hopeful because it's being debated here in the Dáil tonight. They're hopeful because they met government ministers. But the reason any of that has happened is because they have been determined in their protest for 100 days. It is the protest of those workers, their inspiring determination, their bravery and their courage that has forced this issue onto the agenda of this House and forced the government to meet them. And it is that determination, that inspiring heroism by the Debenhams workers that will see this battle to a successful conclusion. A conclusion which, if it is victorious for the workers, will be a victory not just for the Debenhams workers, but for every single worker in this country who could face similar treatment in the future.